you've got something called Sharia Watch.
Yes.
Or Sharia Watch. Tell me about that.
Gosh, I can't even remember where that came from.
Or Sharia law.
That is a long time ago. I was campaigning again. I entered this when I was a law student. I knew there was a woman in my class, and she was a hijab-wearing Muslim. We became quite good friends. But her brothers were... Her sister had escaped a forced marriage, and her brothers were hunting down her sister. And she told me quite matter-of-factly that if they catch her, they'll kill her. Oh. And this was my introduction. So I was still on the left then. So I thought, how do I campaign? How do I understood, I learned that it was Sharia law. And this is before I read the Quran or any of it. How do I campaign? How do I speak up against this while still staying on the left? And I got involved with Maryam Namazi. You may know her. She's a communist. I didn't know that at the time. And even if I did, I don't think it would have occurred to me what a communist was. No. Again, I was just getting on with my life. I was a member of the Labour Party, but I wasn't particularly political. It didn't take up my thinking too much. That became too left-wing. I started to think about immigration and how it is just common sense. If you are going to bring millions of people who believe in Sharia law into your country, you are bringing Sharia law into your country. This is obvious. And as I grew up a little bit, that became more and more apparent to me. So I spoke. I said, look, the EDL was very active at the time and very prominent. And I remember saying, we need to talk to the EDL. We need, and that was it. That was it. Never spoke to me again. Again, calling me racist on social media, just like that. We had worked together, hand in glove. As soon as I said, we have to talk to the EDL, gone, done. I was in the board of the National Secular Society around the same time. Mm-hmm. I quit rather than have them force me to leave.
Which they would have done, wouldn't they? All of the secular society. I mean, I'm an atheist myself, and, Dawkins got his award taken away, his humanist award, whatever humanism really means, They would have kicked you out. They're quite religious, they're non-religious,
They want to avoid the fate they dish out to others. I know there were people in the National Secular Society who privately agreed with me entirely about immigration, but they saw what happened to me when I said, we shouldn't be importing this stuff. This is outrageous. How can you call yourself a secularist and yet have no problem opening the border to hundreds of thousands, millions of people who believe in Sharia law? Yeah. How can you call yourself a secularist? I was completely in a moment. It's not they sit down and talk to you and say, look, no, done, you're gone, that's it. They didn't want that to happen to them, so they don't say it publicly. They say it privately, they don't say it publicly. And that's been across the board. I've known people, many people over the years, who have said to me in private, I agree with you, but they don't want to happen to them. The same treatment they dish out to others, they don't want happening to them. And it's quite common for people to, look, I'm not going to let it happen to me what happened to her. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Very common. Do
you think if it had been that we were immigrating people from Clearwater, Florida, which is the headquarters of Scientology, that people would speak up and go, well, hang on a minute, we're bringing in, I think there's only 30,000 Scientologists in the world, but if we're bringing in hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of Scientologists, would they speak up?
If they're white, the secularists would, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a doubt in my mind.
So how has this happened that there's this conflation between immutable features, which I think a lot of us have agreed, let's not judge people because of their skin color and things like that, and what is very clearly a set of beliefs? Mm-hmm.
It's dishonest and it's disingenuous, and I think people know it is. But there are different aspects to it. Okay, it's not every individual. And this is something else that gets me into trouble. Every individual is a blank sheet. So when I meet a person, I treat them as a blank sheet. I show them respect, with the respect they show me, regardless of background, colour, anything else. However, at the same time, I do not wish to see Europe become minority white. Why should it?
That's an interesting philosophical one, isn't it?
Why should it? So if we keep the borders open to people from Africa, for instance, it will no longer be white majority. It will therefore no longer be the British or the Britain that has stood for centuries and centuries and centuries. Why should Europeans be the only racial group on this planet expected to be minorities in the white homeland, which is Europe.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And we need to have that conversation, don't we?
Do.
Because I think it's pathetic when people are just like, what? I just, shut down, people be closing this video down because of that mention. And I think, well, hang on, never in history have the people who have shut down debate been the good guys. So let's have that conversation. Right. I don't have a very strong opinion either way about it, but I'll do the devil's advocate and say, why does it matter? I mean, eventually we're going to lose this anyway. And I say we, I don't even know if I am white. I'm from Jewish ancestry. It'll be Polish. I don't even know where they're all from. But I think of myself as sort of white. I don't know.
Well, your skin is white.
Yeah, okay.
There's that.
So why? Well, that's a good point. So are we talking about an aesthetic thing?
No, we're talking about culture. We're talking about a link to the land. Human beings are territorial. We have an emotional and romantic attachment to our homelands. I certainly do. We are allowed to have that. We are allowed to, say, for example, if the majority in Britain became non-British or non-white, how do we maintain our links with the past, which I think we should do? How do we maintain our links to our identity? Will we still have the Union Jack? Will we still? But let me give you a better example. Let's talk about America. I think America is a great example of this. If the majority, because it's on the verge of happening, if the majority of America becomes non-white, will non-white people agree to live under a constitution, which is America? No constitution, no America. It's a different place. The landmass will still be there, but the United States of America, as we have known it for 250 years, if it becomes non-white, will the non-white majority agree to live under the constitution, which was drawn up by white Europeans? Or will they have no connection to that whatsoever? I think they will have no connection to it whatsoever. And it will completely transform the landmass that is today the United States of America. It will not exist.